Why won't anyone sit next to Bruce Wayne?
I don't know.
Because he has bat breath.
Oh.
Welcome to the greatest DC comic show on YouTube. You found Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. Thank you so much for being here. Let's say hello to our panel, which includes Signature King, Tony.
What's up?
Hey, how are you?
Another wonderful day in paradise over here.
Wonderful. And then our other regular fanboy back this week, Silver Hair Bronze Age Babe. How are you?
I am great. Even though I was whining about snow this morning when it started to do that here.
Oh.
I don't know why I thought like the 1st of February it would melt and turn into 40-degree days, but
the flowers would bloom. And,
I heard birds singing. I literally heard birds singing this morning, and I thought,
what do they call that in Midwest? Fool's Spring?
Yes. Well, this fool fell for it. That's
I say, why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me,
they long to
be
close to you.
Yep. We're the Carpenters.
We should do a show just on Karen Carpenter at some point.
Oh, she's amazing.
Oh, hello. Yeah.
I thought you were going to do a show just on show tunes.
Oh, that could be fun too.
The whole hour just singing.
Tony, before you came into the backstage, there was some "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" chat going on. So I'm just saying, you missed out on that today. So
yeah,
if you're watching us on the rewind, thank you so much for wanting to spend some time with us. We don't take that for granted. We appreciate it. And we'll start saying hello to our live chat, starting with John's Comics with Kids. How you doing? Hope you've had a nice weekend. John got a whole bunch of short boxes from another community member who just needed to downsize their collection. And it was something like 16 or 18 short boxes or something. It was
my God,
crazy.
Aye.
And he started going through some of those yesterday on his live stream.
Wow.
So we'll say hello to Cookie. Just a little podcast. Is this the Silver Age Sunday show?
It is.
It is. It is.
I don't think it's what you mean, though.
Shebab, is there a one-word reply we should say to this?
My understanding is the code word is link.
Link. That's it. Tony's here. The other Tony. The old Wolfie. How you doing, old Wolfie? Hope you're doing great. We love her, Christina Payne. She's awesome. Already starting to drop some links to Link.
She's on Link.
Yeah, Link. Yeah, already starting to drop some links. We appreciate her moderating skills to the max. Once again, the very talented Lucinda Swirl is here.
Yes, this is when all else fails, you can talk about comic books.
Exactly. Thank you for being here, Lucinda. I appreciate that so much. You're back again. That's amazing. So as other folks join us, we will make sure to acknowledge them, unless they've pissed us off, and then we'll just ignore them.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Ghost them.
Yeah, we'll ghost them. So, Mr. Tony, there's a little bit of news kind of shaking or going on. Where would you like to start at?
I guess. Oh man, I don't know. Talk about how the Superman movie got sued.
Yeah. So talk about that.
I guess. Yeah, right. I guess this has happened every single Superman movie release. So this is nothing new. And I don't understand. I mean, I know why they're doing it, but I mean, from how I interpret it, is the estates of the creators of Superman sue Warner Brothers every time there's a Superman movie coming out. And they delay a ruling till they see how much money the movie made, and then Warner Brothers just settles. Like, okay, here's a really big fat U-Haul's worth of money. We're just going to back up in your driveway. Is that enough? And they say, yeah, sure. And then it goes no further. So this time they sued. It was a little bit different. They sued Warner Brothers because it wasn't coming out in some foreign countries. And they wanted to sue Warner Brothers so that it would come out, so they could get a bigger chunk of the pie. So it all comes back to the mighty dollar.
Excellent.
Yeah, it does.
When in doubt, just sue the Superman movie.
Well, you can understand the estate of Schuster and Siegel because like they were screwed for so long.
Yes,
Totally get it. Totally get it.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
I mean, they created one of the most iconic fictional characters of all time.
Most recognizable.
Most recognized character of all time.
Yeah. And, you know, on that note, you know, as you're starting your convention season, don't forget to drop a couple of bucks in that superhero initiative charity.
Yeah.
So people rep, because that's what it goes to. It helps, you know, creators in need. But yeah, I didn't know that this happens every time. It's like Superman movie comes out, DC Comics gets their stuff ready to get sued again.
Just send them the settlement letter.
I mean, I understand why they're doing it, but like at this point, I feel like they're just being greedy. You know what I mean? Like they're already going to get a cut. They're just doing it to get a bigger cut.
Would you do something different if you were them?
Yes, I would.
Okay, what would you do?
I would not sue them. Hey, I'm only going to make $25 million off this movie. If I sue them, I bet I can get 27. Like, does it matter?
That's lawyers.
Does it matter? Right. And I was looking. Someone broke down the numbers. During the Henry Cavill Man of Steel movie. The estates of Joe Shuster made $21 million just on royalties alone for the movie.
Wow.
That was just their chunk of the pie that they were going to get anyway. So they sued them, and they ended up with $24 million.
Seriously?
But what is the point? What is the point?
Wow. Full employment act for attorneys. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, I run the estate. I have to have something to do. So I'm going to
sue somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have more Superman news, but first I want to say hi, and I think we should all say a big congratulations to Ruby G, White Tiger Cool Kong Collected, because he has a little Tiger Cup coming in 2025.
Oh, congratulations!
So yeah,
Yay.
I know.
You're sleeping now, man.
In John's stream, he's like, "You got to stop saying that. People are going to think I'm getting an animal." So,
he's the next Tiger King.
But congratulations. So, Cookie saying, "Why not just give residual royalty income?"
I'm sure they do. I'm sure there's some deal that we don't know about. You know, because if they're making that much money just on releasing a movie that they were going to get anyway, I mean, so you sued them and you only made a couple $1 million anyway. Like, what is the point? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Speaking of the Superman movie, did I read on the socials that there's been a little pushback at the latest trailer relative to literally one of the visuals, like where David Cornsweet is like his face is flying at you through one of the scenes, and somebody was saying like, "Oh, that's so AI generated," or that there's just been a little bit of negative feedback, like, "Yeah, that looks weird."
Yeah, you get like a frontal view, you know, of Superman zipping around. I get it; it's different. I don't think they did it in the Man of Steel movie, but it's definitely, you can tell it's directed by James Gunn, because he did that in the previous Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Almost the exact same angle and shot.
So it's what he do. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're making fun of, you know, the actor because he has a little bit like one eye is looking this way, the other one seems to be looking kind of this way.
Oh no.
So that's where they think it's the AI, because, you know, the actor doesn't have like a lazy eye. He's like, you know, normal vision.
Okay.
But one eye is just off this way, the other one's kind of like cockeyed. You know, not normal for a human. Maybe he's part chameleon. I don't know.
Kind of like the Henry Cavill scene in that Superman 2, where it was they had to cover up his mustache with CGI or whatever the heck that was. Oh my god. Ugh.
So that's what they're talking about. And if it is AI, I mean, I don't care. Like, who cares? It's the technology now. Like,
right.
Trust me, soon, maybe in our lifetime, there'll be completely AI movies. You know what I mean? Completely AI.
I'm sure soon.
Yeah.
Sooner than later. Yeah. I said I had some other Superman news, and Superman is getting a new ongoing series. Yeah.
You already have one?
I'm sorry?
Doesn't he already have one?
Well, he's getting another one.
Okay.
Yeah, so Superman Unlimited is going to be done by Dan Slott, and it's going to debut in May. And, DC is really touting that this is going to be the year and the summer of Superman, too. And I think a lot of this stuff is kicking off in April, which we talked about last week with the Action Comics 1 facsimile that's coming out in its original size. I think that's going to kick off for the remainder of the year a lot of Superman stuff.
I got my issues with Dan Slott. He tends to politicize things a lot. And it's not my taste, his style of writing. I mean, he's talented because he's a writer for comic books and he sells, obviously, so he's resonating with some people's. But unfortunately, I'm just not one of them.
Yeah.
I don't care for the politicization of my stories.
You guys want to see the main A cover for issue 1?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. There you go.
That's cool.
Huh.
Who does that? That's a weird cover. I recognize the art. I don't know.
So, looks interesting. So
well, crypto's there.
Yep, crypto is there.
Crypto's there.
Yeah. Is that being a big Superman fan? Is that something, Shabab, that you think that you're going to look into, or
probably
no
not?
Okay.
Probably not. I have so much trouble staying interested in modern comics these days. Even the ones that I really like the Wonder Woman run, is coming to an end, and it seems to be kind of slowly circling the drain. And the Superman books out now where Lois is Superwoman.
Yeah.
Again, maybe it's just my lack of attention, but like a month when you have these overarching story arcs and a month in between, my brain just dribbles right out of my ear. And so it's not like the one and done stories of my youth that I could easily track or I didn't have to track. I guess that's what it is. So yeah, unless there's a Lois Lane part of this thing that will be interesting, probably not.
Okay.
You know what I've always thought they should do?
What's that?
They need to give Lois Lane, since it's all make-believe anyway, have her be the mother to a daughter. I think it would be really intriguing.
Yeah, that'd be something different.
Yeah, wouldn't it? So if you're going to make stuff up, make some other stuff up.
Exactly.
It would be interesting because what would they call her? Because she's half Kryptonian. She grows up and it's like a Superboy where she gets superpowers. There's already a Supergirl.
Right. Exactly.
And a Superwoman.
Yeah. See, I don't know. That would be easy. That would be interesting. Or what if she doesn't get any powers? What if she really wants some? And it's like, nope.
And she's just Meg, I guess. Megan. Super Megan. Regular Megan.
Or Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Oh, yeah, Chelsea. That bitch
Chelsea.
Hello to Kenneth Bird. How are you doing? How's everything in Virginia tonight? Nice. So another story I had to just quick a little bit in passing. I mean, for those that aren't familiar, Neil Gaiman has had some problems in his personal life and sexual assault allegations, and a lot of companies are jumping ship with him, including DC now, who have canceled orders for the upcoming Sandman #8 facsimile edition, which he wrote. It was originally scheduled for February 26th. It's now being listed as canceled on Lunar's website, along with the variant foil and sketch covers. They say Sandman 8 facsimile will be resolicited at a later date. Existing orders are canceled, which is the typical jargon they give, regardless if they ever do it or not. So
if they're going to re-solicit it, what was the point of canceling it? I mean, I know why they're doing it. I understand why they're doing it.
But that's just what they say. I mean, at a later point could mean
20 years from now.
Yes, 20 years from now. I mean, that's...
Yeah, if we it's blown over. Okay.
Yeah. So, just a little news to pass along there.
From Neil, I didn't know that. I didn't know he was accused. I didn't catch it.
You can just do a Google search on him and find some.
I saw that his
stories.
Netflix series was canceled, but I thought it was just canceled because it was just.
He is in cancel culture right now. I mean, everyone is cutting ties. So Marvel is, other publishers are cutting ties. Netflix has cut ties. It's canceled.
Hopefully they don't pull a Johnny Depp where it turns out that he was innocent and they just repeatedly shot themselves in the foot several times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the allegations against him are numerous and upsetting and numerous. So
check it out.
I think
I didn't know.
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Oh, within the last 3 or 4 months, I think. This stuff has come out.
So it wasn't like something happened yesterday. Like I'm way out of the loop. My goodness.
You're too busy getting signatures. You have
well,
other
you think
duties.
you'd standing in line, you'd hear some news, but I guess not.
And nope, not at all. So.
I thought it'd be like, oh yeah, within the last week, and like, yeah, that makes sense why I didn't hear about it. But like 3 or 4 months, my goodness, like it's already February of 2025. I have no clue what's happening.
Is there anything else news-wise that either one of you want to cover?
Did we talk about Supergirl movie?
Just that it started filming. We mentioned that.
But she confirmed she will be in the new Superman movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Can I say that the casting of that I'm not a fan of that actress. She was in the
Game of Thrones thing.
Game of Thrones Dragon movie, the House of the Dragon or whatever it's called, which shows I really like. But so she was the young girl in that for several episodes, and I just wasn't really impressed. And now she's going to star in.
Well, they're not going to hire me to play Supergirl. Believe it or not.
Really?
They told me I had to shave. I couldn't commit.
Forget it. Forget it. Now, I was, I don't know. Maybe I'll catch it when it streams. So.
Yeah, I know nothing of her. I mean,
I don't either.
I haven't seen her show. I haven't seen. I mean, I know she's on the show, but that's as far as I know.
Yeah.
I wonder if she auditioned or did they approach her?
I think at that stage, oftentimes you're auditioning, but there's like a handful of you that are
the short list.
A short list that they have to come in and, let's see how.
Apparently, Neil, when Pierce Brosnan was, he was approached to play Dr. Fate. Like he didn't audition. They're just like, "Hey, do you want it?" And he just said, "Yeah, okay, you're Dr. Fate."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, he's a known entity, so it's like, but I don't know if this gal is, beyond the genre world of the Game of Thrones thing.
I'm sure once you get to a certain status, you just stop auditioning. Like, you're really gonna make Tom Hanks or Brad Pitt audition?
I would like to see the response someone would get if they told Faye Dunaway she had to audition for something.
Oh my God.
That would be a great viral moment in itself.
Oh my God. You saw that documentary on her?
I did see the documentary
goodness. On her. Yeah. She's a pistol.
She's something. She's something. And of course, Faye Dunaway has a Supergirl connection because she played Selena, the villain in the very first Supergirl movie.
Yep.
Yeah, with Helen Slater. Yeah.
I didn't realize that she was, or Helen Slater was part of this current Superman. Well, not current anymore. The most recent Superman TV show. She was, Kara Zor-El's parents.
Yeah, see the
one with Dean Cain.
Yeah. Well, she was also in the Supergirl show, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was.
She was their. She was the Earthbound parents. So, it's always fun.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I like it when they bring back those types of cameos.
Little nods,
Yeah, I mean, it really is kind of sweet. It's like, this is our little world, and we honor those who, have portrayed these characters. And
it's funny because we were just talking about Dean Cain getting canceled, right? Or not Dean Cain, but Neil Gaiman for, his allegations, where they canceled him. Dean Cain admitted to everything. and they totally brought him back.
Well, that's because
he didn't try to deny it at all.
Dean Cain is a friend of Foo's.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
That brings privileges.
That's true. Hey,
Yeah.
You just whip out that signed Foo for #1.
Yeah. There you go. So if there's no other news, before we get into the retro review, I have trivia for you two.
Oh, geez.
Oh, no.
I'm going to give you both questions. You can work independently or together as a team. One of you should answer one question and one of you should answer the other question. Okay? So our retro review tonight is The Untold Legend of Batman. This was the first planned miniseries ever for comic books. And DC was on the miniseries game about 3 years before Marvel started doing this. These are all facts. My two questions are this. Let me spit both of them out, okay? Question number one, what was DC's... Notice I said this is DC's first planned miniseries. What was DC's first miniseries? And question number two, why wasn't it planned?
Jeez, I don't even know. I couldn't even begin to guess. Oh man. Oh, hold on. I'm totally not going to look.
No, do not Google.
Oh God. Well, I know that they, like in the late 60s, early 70s, like there was an Action comic run that had like 3 storylines. I think it was a Superman story about Virus X. And it was unusual for the time because it was like
a continuation.
A continuation, but that doesn't seem like what
That's
you're
not
talking.
it.
That's not it.
Nope.
Does that have something to do with Wonder Woman?
No.
No. Well, then who cares?
Irrelevant news.
That's kind of how I felt.
Was it from a character?
First of all, Nigel is here. Hi, Nigel. If you guys in the chat have an answer, I mean,
yeah,
so when
please,
Bragging Rights,
God.
throw it in there, but don't you Google and cheat. So,
because we're drowning over here. So hurry.
Is it the story around a character from the Justice League?
it's a spin-off of a character that's in the Justice League.
Oh, goodness.
Is it one of the original 7?
Yes. Well, yes. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, gosh. I don't even know.
Got me, brother. I have.
Yeah.
I can't even hazard a guess.
Do you want the answers now or after the retro review?
Well, it's going to bother me, so you got to tell me now.
Right, come on.
Okay. The very first limited series DC ever did was called World of Krypton. It was a 3-issue limited series. Now that you know that, can you answer the second question? Why was this not a planned limited series? Can you answer that?
Because it sold so poorly that it stopped after 3 issues, and they didn't bother.
No,
okay.
That's not it.
I've read a couple of those.
And they're not good.
Not in my world.
Okay.
Was it because they needed to just fill some space and they didn't have anything, so somebody put a little bit of this and a little bit of that and stirred it, and that's what came out?
No, the reason why World of Krypton was the very first limited series ever, the reason it wasn't a planned limited series is these 3 issues were supposed to run in Showcase, and Showcase got canceled.
Oh.
The work was complete. Showcase got canceled before they could put them in that title. They didn't know what to do with them, so they invented a limited series. It was always planned to be 3 issues. It was never going to be an ongoing. They knew that going in. No one had ever done that before. When you launched a series, you launched it with the intention that it would be forward on as long as it can go. And so tonight's retro review, The Untold Legend of Batman, is the first planned limited series. They went into this going, it's only going to be 3 issues, and we're done.
I'm glad we're talking about this book, by the way.
Okay.
Do you know, this is a treasury.
Yes, it is.
I got it this week. It's like huge.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be petite.
This is also the first time that DC has published a book in Treasury that wasn't in the Treasury size prior to that. This book originally came out as a regular size comic book.
Yeah.
through the years, it's been reprinted many times. It's been reprinted as a mini, tiny comic book. It's been reprinted as a slightly larger than digest size. It's been reprinted in regular size, and now for the first time ever, it's been reprinted in facsimile or a facsimile in treasury size.
Yeah. Well, when we get to our roundup, what we think, I have definite thoughts about that. But
okay, cool.
Yeah, great.
Tony, if you want to pull up an assist for us, Sarah's going to kick it off. And I picked tonight's story, and the reason I did is because of this release. It's something that I thought would be, because this 3 issues works well, in Fanboys with 3 different hosts. So the format of it works well. But I thought this is the week to do that with this just being re-released. And Sarah's going to kick off our retro review tonight of issue number 1 with what I think is a pretty stunning cover.
This one, yes. I want to talk about the art when we're
sure.
But the first page, you get, first of all, it's an origin story. So I'm in on this. So the first page of the story, the saga, there it is. Yeah, it really starts in the Batcave with Batman opening his mail and finding that someone has sent him the remains of a bat costume, which belonged to the original Batman. So he says his father. So in the next page, you get this really big splash page there, holding up the tattered bat suit and said, "That's the costume first worn by the first Batman, my father." So he and Alfred immediately check the trophy case, because that's what you do when you're in the Batcave. And indeed, that costume is missing. And there's a note that is threatening Batman with destruction. And then we also learned, just a little throwaway panel there, that Batman was recently in an explosion and he has a headache. But it's all right. I feel fine. I'll be fine. And then we launch into the story, proper, which is, this is really an extended flashback. So his folks had gone to a costume party, which is why Thomas Wayne was in a bat suit. Dr. Wayne is kidnapped from the party to remove a bullet from mob boss Lou Moxon. But Dr. Wayne is not having any of that, and he beats up Moxon and his cronies and turns them over to the police, including a young James Gordon. Moxon heads off to jail, and then in the very next panel, it is now several years later, and Moxon is free and vowing revenge. Weeks later after that, Joe Chill kills Bruce's parents in a now iconic and familiar scene, which we all know from every Batman story. And then we see Bruce comforted by Leslie Tompkins. He moves in with his Uncle Philip and his housekeeper, Mrs. Chilton, who, unbeknownst to Bruce, is the mother of murderer Joe Chill. And and then you kind of flip back to the present day, where Alfred is like, "Oh, though Master Bruce must never know that she's also the mother of Joe Chill." So why wouldn't he know that? And why is Alfred saying he shouldn't know that? But nonetheless, we go back into the flashback, and young Bruce vows to avenge his parents' death by doing basically gymnastics and eating milk and cookies. And he reads about a very famous detective named Harvey Harris. And Bruce decides that, you know what? I got to learn the tricks of the trade from this guy. But the way to do that, he thinks, is to basically cosplay in the Robin outfit. And he dresses up in the Robin outfit, and he says, "This costume is a little bit fanciful, you think, but it ought to do the job." Well, it's doing a job, okay. And Harris doesn't think that this is weird at all, and basically says, "Yeah, you can be my assistant," and helps Bruce learn all the tricks of the trade in this wonderful one-page kind of splash page that goes on after the Twinkies, and yeah, there it is. So there's a beautiful page of there's Robin / actually Batman learning how to deal with fingerprints and boxing and somehow jumping after riverboats for some reason. But so Bruce then goes to college to study criminology and psychology and law. And he's in a law class when a professor basically schools him on the difference between law and justice. And actually, those are not the same thing. So Bruce basically decides he can't be a policeman because the laws could hamstring him so much so as not to provide justice. So he decides that, oh my God, I have to become a symbol, what to do when the famous bat flies through his window. And he's like, a bat, it's an omen. I should become a bat. And then we get a really beautiful full pager on a page of Batman's villains. I mean, that is lovely. And I have to say, in big treasury size, it's really lovely, great to look at. So,
well, that is nice.
Big thumbs up from this reader on that. Still, there's no progress on finding his parents' killer. So he and Robin, who seems to be with him now, break up a crook smuggling operation, which just so happens to be run by Joe Chill. So Batman finds Joe, faces him, and reveals his identity and says, I know that you killed the Waynes because I'm the son of the people you killed because I am Bruce Wayne. Again, neat panel there. Somehow, though, Joe Chill runs away to a criminal lair to tell everyone that he knows Batman's identity. And because he knows it because he inspired this young kid years ago by shooting his parents. The crooks actually don't take very kindly to that news that Joe Chill created Batman, and they're like, well, he's the one who sent me up the river. You know, you're the reason that I've been to prison. And they kill him before he's able to reveal Batman's identity. This happens. So basically Joe Chill is like, oh God, funny, ain't it? You know, because I started you off as the Batman, the boys plugged me. Guess in the long run, you got me after all. It's like, yeah. So you think the case is closed, but just when you think it's done and dusted, Bruce and Dick Grayson find Thomas Wayne's diary, explaining that Lou Moxon had hired Joe Chill. So Batman goes to find Lou Moxon, who you'll recall got out several years ago and vowed revenge. So he finds Lou Moxon in his new business, a blimp company. Takes him to the police, where Moxon easily passes a lie detector test, saying he never heard of Thomas Wayne. Well, it turns out that Moxon was in a car accident after Wayne's murder and has amnesia. Now, for reasons only clear to a major plot hole, Robin has Thomas Wayne's original batsuit with him and convinces Bruce to wear it when he goes back to confront Moxon. The old suit does the trick. Moxon's memory returns. He admits he hired Joe Chill to kill the Waynes, and then Moxon runs into traffic and dies. With my father's name on his lips, says Bruce. Batman then pays an obligatory visit to his parents' grave to tell them that he fulfilled his oath to find their killer. And he also says, I've never returned to their graves since. We finally come back to the present moment, where Batman is no closer to figuring out who sent him the shredded batsuit. So into the Batmobile he goes to head into the next chapter, but not before we get this lovely little panel where Batman is finally shedding a tear for the first time since his parents' funeral. And that is how the story kicks off. So Yeah.
As we pull up the second issue, which I'll handle, I'll say hello to Bredazzle, who's here. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us.
That's a great name.
Yeah, that is. Everything feels brighter now that Bredazzle's here. So I'm going to handle the task for the second story. Title of it is called With Friends Like These.
It's taking its sweet time to load. Okay, there we go.
No problem. And the cover for this issue is also the one that they chose to make the facsimile treasury size, the same cover for. So if you want to scroll down, we'll go into the first page here, and it's a seedy bar where, lowlifes are known and criminals know that they can go there and pretty much be safe, except for tonight. Cripes, it's him, one of the patrons says. Batman walks in, and he is dead set on where he's headed. He wants to talk to Snitch. And like his namesake, he's the guy you talk to if you need some information.
Don't commit a crime around Snitch.
That's right.
Don't even talk about it.
That's right. So that's probably the only place Snitch can go. So he walks in, and Snitch is kind of shocked that he's there. And Batman's like, I want information. And he's like, I don't have any information that you want. I don't know what you're talking about. And Batman's not taking that as an answer and starts a bar fight. And on the next page, things definitely level up to another level with Snitch grabbing a gun. And Batman says, You dare to pull a gun on me? Don't you ever point a gun at me again. Never. Do you hear me? And then gives him a bitch slap. He's about to do another one when someone yells, That's enough. And we come to find out that it's Robin. And he's there to protect your back, Batman. He's like, don't you think you've done enough here? And he kind of realizes that he's overstepped a little bit. And he's like, yes, I have. There's nothing more this punk can tell me. So they decide to get out of there. And he tells Robin that he's fine. He's just furious. Someone broke into our bat cave, stole the original bat costume once worn by my father, then mailed me the pieces. And I intend to find out that thief and reduce him to pieces as well. Then you get a nice little ad for bubblegum.
We should send away for some of these coupons.
Yeah.
If only we could.
Yeah. Then as they're riding through on the Batmobile, Robin's like, well, he's taking it hard, and I can understand why. He and I have a lot of similarities in our life. And he flashes back to the night of his parents' death in Newtown with the Flying Graysons performing their circus trapeze act for the final time. He stood there and watched his father perform his specialty, the triple spin. But things go wrong this time. And they pass away. And his parents were gone. He was left alone for the first time, so terribly alone. And as he goes on, that same night, he talks about how it took Bruce years to find out who his parents' killer were, but he learned the truth the same night about this accident, which you say with quotation marks. As he overhears, a man saying, you didn't pay us for the protection service, so accidents happen when you don't pay. And so the guy, the leader of the circus, agrees to pay for the future to prevent further people from getting killed. Dick overhears this, and he's about to take some action when Batman steps in, and he doesn't know who he is. And Batman essentially introduces himself and says, I'm going to help you. He calms the boy down enough, and they take off and go for a ride. And he says, Dick is like, why can't I call the police? And he's like, because this entire town is run by a man called Boss Zuko. If you talked, you'd be dead within an hour. So I'm going to keep you safe until we can nail Zuko. And he talks about how he's not a police officer because there's some areas of the law that they're restricted by, but being the Batman, he can get around those areas and still get the justice that is due for people like Dick. So Dick becomes an official, but Bruce rather becomes Dick's official legal guardian. What I thought was interesting in that panel, they said, this happens the next day at a courthouse, and the judge is saying, I can't let you adopt the boy, Mr. Wayne, because you're a bachelor. But since you've obtained the consent of his nearest relatives, I hereby appoint you as Dick Grayson's legal guardian. I guess them relatives wanted nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
boy.
seriously. I
mean, it took overnight. It took overnight for them to decide, don't want none of that in my life.
They either didn't want him or Bruce paid for a child. Either one, there's no good way.
Yeah.
It's all a little suspect.
Yeah. So in the meantime, like Bruce, Dick starts learning martial arts, and when it comes time for him to join Batman, Batman suggests you need another identity, another costume, and a new name. And he says, well, maybe I should be a flying creature kind of like you were. And that's where he pulls out that original costume that would become the Robin costume that Shabab talked about in last issue that Bruce originally wore when he was trying to learn the tools of the trade of being a great detective. So in the long run, Dick is able to snap a photo that showed the boss Zuko trying to murder one of his own henchmen, and that sent him to the electric chair. So justice was done for his family. But being the ward, or having Bruce Wayne as your guardian, isn't as easy as you might think it is. At parties, he was looked at as kind of a little pet, and the women are fawning, oh, isn't he a cute little thing? And at school, he's being teased, your old man's money can't buy you out of this one, rich boy. And you're chicken to fight us. And he knows he's got the strength, but he's withholding. He's holding back. But, when he's working with Batman, there's no holding back, and they're solving crime, and they're doing well. And he said for a while it seemed like his adolescence would go on forever until that bright morning when he picked up his high school diploma and a new way of life came, and he took off for college. So at this point, Bruce has decided to close Wayne Manor and essentially move the Batcave to the downstairs of the Wayne Foundation building in downtown Gotham. And it shows us a little bit of how in this new Batcave, Batman's able to enter and stuff, and how they've moved the mementos over. And so now they're back to the Batcave, and Alfred is waiting for them. And Alfred mentions to Dick, when Bruce is out of earshot, that he just doesn't seem like himself lately. He's so driven. And Robin's kind of like, it's understandable after the circumstances. His dad's costume meant a lot to him. And then they bring up that warehouse explosion again a few days in the past. And Alfred says he's kind of just been different since then. If it's as if he suddenly realized his own mortality and he's struggling to deny it. And Batman is hyper-focused, as you see in that panel, on trying to figure out who has done this. So Robin goes over to talk to him, and Alfred starts thinking back, and now we get a little bit of pieces of Alfred's origin here. And it goes back to him helping Nazi people escape Nazi oppression, and getting through that. After that, he went back to his one true love, which was actually the stage. He wanted to be an actor. And he was acting and stuff, but his father, who was dying, called him in, and on his deathbed, he says, for generations there have been pennyworth in domestic service, my son, until now. Swear to me that grand old tradition won't die with me. Swear it, Alfred. So he swears it. And his father passes. He goes to America. He ends up at Wayne Manor, and he's like, I'm sorry to disturb you, but I'm here to work for you. And they're like, oh, we don't need anybody. We're good. And he's like, nope. My father used to work for your father, so I'm working for you now. And they're like, oh, what are we going to do with our new butler? So Alfred's doing his job. Then one day he hears a sound, and he hears some voices. Someone's yelling for Alfred, and it wakes him up out of his sleep. You can scroll down a little bit. And he thinks, could this be a ghost? But this voice seems to be coming from behind the old clock, and he opens it up to find a staircase. And then all of a sudden he sees it's Master Dick and who's holding Master Bruce. And Bruce, they're Batman and Robin. That's how he finds out that they're Batman and Robin, and Batman's in bad shape. And he's like, oh my God, this is the Batcave. And, essentially he's been brought into the fold on what's going on. So... and he says, caring for Masters Bruce and Dick have filled a void in my life, given its purpose again. For the first time since the Great War, I am involved in a noble cause, once more striving for the right. And he does mention in a little part too that his brother went on to become what he wanted to be, an actor, a stage actor. So Robin has ordered up a Dr. Pepper, and Alfred goes to get it for him. And he's asking Batman if he has any clues or suspects. And he says, yeah, I've got a whole bunch of suspects. And then scroll down, we get this great full-page splash of some of the great rogues of Batman's career. So there they all are piled on there. So many of the great Batman villains that we know, and even some you might have forgotten about. And Bruce is like, there's not a single one of these that doesn't hate me. All of them have reasons to hate me, to be justified. Let's look at the Joker. And he says back then he used to call himself the Red Hood. And he flashes back to when he met Red Hood, and Red Hood's trapped. He says, there's nowhere for you to go. And he says, yeah, I can go down. And he jumps into all this chemical waste. But he would think that that would take him out instantly. But the Red Hood survived the swim through the very thick of these chemical wastes because of this breathing apparatus. But he finds out he didn't get out unscathed. Those chemicals did something to him. They turned his skin chalk white, his hair emerald green, and his lips ruby red. He says, I look like a clown, a cursed evil clown. And he realized that he was terrified and he could terrify others. And since a playing card company was indirectly responsible for his new face, because that's where he was at when Batman interfered, he decided to name himself after the card with the face of a clown and become the Joker. And Alfred even says, well, sir, what happened to the Joker was indisputably his own fault. And Batman says, of course it was, but do you want to try telling him that? And Robin's like, point taken, but they're not all like that, Heck, if not for you, this character would have almost had died years ago. And they're talking about Two-Face. And he says maybe he would have been happier if he had died. And we go back to Two-Face's origin, where Batman's on the witness stand and attorney Harvey Dent is trying to prosecute a mob boss who in one shot is able to throw some acid at Harvey Dent, and Batman's able to move his hand just a little bit so it doesn't get all of Harvey Dent's face, it only gets half of it. And then finally, when the bandages are removed, he's deformed and hideous on one side of his face, and his personality changes. And he took that two-headed lucky piece coin that used to be of the mobsters and made it his trademark as he became Two-Face. So Batman also goes on after the ads to talk about some other enemies that some even know his secret identity, like Ra's al Ghul and Professor Hugo Strange. And Robin says, we got to start somewhere. And don't you think it's a better idea if we try maybe going to police headquarters and talking to them? And he's like, I don't want to. This is a private affair. Well, Robin says it's not going to stay that way, if you're going to keep mopping up the streets in Gotham with punks like Snitch. He's like, come on, let's get moving. And he jumps into the Batmobile. He starts to turn down and he hears this ticking. And Robin instantly realizes before anyone else what's going on. And he yells for everyone to hit the deck. Someone's tampered with the Batmobile ignition and it's about to explode, which it does. And they check to make sure Alfred's okay. Everyone's doing well. And there's a note that Robin finds. And Batman's yelling, no, not again. The note says, one by one, I will destroy the things that make you what you are, and then I will destroy you. And on the last panel, Batman declares, all right, mister, whoever you are, you've been asking for a war, and now you have one. And it's a war only one of us will survive. And that's how issue 2 wraps up. I want to say hi to the Library 88 who enjoyed the bubblegum break. Thanks for coming back and being here for today's show. We appreciate you so much. We appreciate everyone that's here and everyone that watches on the Rewind too. So for our conclusion, Mr. Signature King.
So this makes a lot more sense.
Someday the Signature King's going to read all
the whole
of
thing.
the stories.
Yes.
No, because I like the surprise. You know what I mean? Like, I like to put the clues together as you guys are reading. Like, okay, all right.
No, I get it. Okay.
Yeah. And also, like, if you were, a young kid and you just bought issue 3, how confused are you going to be? And actually, not that confused. As long as you know who the characters are, you're going to be able to pick this one up real quick. And it picks up here right as the Batmobile explodes. I had a feeling that was going to happen. And we have the note here. They're analyzing it. They're like, how are we gonna zip around town? How are we gonna find these guys? So we cut to Robin making a phone call, and we cut over to well, first you don't know it's a movie scene. It's just a bunch of cars zipping around and crashing, and they say, hey Jack, you're getting better all the time, but hey, there's a phone call for you in the trailer. And it turns out that it's Robin. But I love this line here. It says, hey, there's a long distance call for you in your trailer. I haven't made a long distance call since the 90s.
God, it's so 1980. Hurry, it's going to cost more money.
Yes, it's costing somebody money. Hurry up.
Yeah, and by money, we're talking like 3 cents a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's if you call after 5.
Yeah, well, even before that, when it was just a set rate.
Yeah.
That was like a promo. It's like, hey, if you call after 7, now it's only 2 cents a minute.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But yeah. So Robin's filling him in, and he's saying, hey, the Batmobile exploded. And we need another one. And this Jack guy said, I can totally help you out. In fact, not only am I going to help you, it's going to be there in a week, and I'm going to put some cool upgrades in it that I've been dying to try. So headed your way. And it turns out that Batman many moons ago rescued this Jack character from a burning car wreck, and he's some kind of, I don't know anything about this guy. It's the first time I've ever heard of him, and it sounds like he's some kind of gearhead. He's a big car guy, maybe some kind of engineer perhaps, and he's designing the Batmobile for Batman and Robin. So, and this isn't the first order that they've placed, so that's kind of neat. A little bit of history on the Batmobile.
Batman has a mechanic.
Origin story of the Batmobile. Who drunk?
You see, I always thought that Alfred was also the mechanic, but apparently not.
Oh, really? I never thought that.
He just polished it. He polished it.
He just polished it. Well, in Batman v Superman, you see Alfred under the hood, and I've seen that many times. In fact, one of the other Batman movies from the 80s or 90s, you see Alfred making adjustments under the hood. So I've always assumed that Alfred was also the mechanic. Maybe not. So anyway, we have another bubblegum break here. Don't forget to try all flavors. It's the bubblegum episode. So they go out on foot, and they're catching bad guys, and Batman is clearly unhinged. He's short with criminals. He's prone to violence, so to speak. And he's gosh, what are they trying to think of the term they use? It escapes me, but anyway, so yeah, he's trying to figure this out. And then we have this, him meeting with Alfred, not Alfred, but
James Gordon.
James Gordon, sorry. Almost said James Commissioner for some reason. But Commissioner James Gordon of Gotham PD, and I have to admit that they're because they're giving everyone a back issue or a back story. So the back story with James Gordon, I thought was pretty cool. So James Gordon, is determined. Well, they flash back to young James Gordon. And by the way, I totally fell for this ad. I thought it was part of the story, but it is not.
That's funny. It's perfect placement.
Yeah.
It is because they also talk about Batgirl relatively soon afterwards. I had to go back and make sure that I didn't miss anything. So, so Batman actually captures the Joker, and for the 100,000th time or whatever, and he, I guess, drives by Gotham PD, opens the door, and just kicks the Joker out. Totally safe. There's no way he could be injured from that. And James Gordon is very upset that the Batman captured Joker and not him. So he made this thing that he was going to capture Batman. Obviously, that's not how it turned out. While Jim was making or responding to some kind of disturbance, he came face to face with the Batman. And he has a great line here. For the first time in my entire life, I froze. And as Batman was escaping out the window, James was calling out to him, "Hey, Wade, come back," whatever. But he actually came to visit Mr. Gordon, much later, and at his office. And Jim Gordon tried to arrest him. Tried to arrest the Batman. I think I've seen that movie a couple hundred times. And Jim's like, you can't just be a vigilante. You're under arrest. And Batman's like, listen, we're on the same side of, reality here. You represent, the law side of the house. I represent the justice side of the house. But believe it or not, we're on the same team. Notice how he didn't beat up Mr. Gordon for pulling a gun on him, but he bitch slapped that other dude.
Well, that's the past and the present versus the present.
The bitch slap heard around the world.
Yeah. This Batman even smiles in that last panel.
Yeah,
look at that.
Pulled a gun on me, ha ha ha. No big deal. But they shake hands and they realize, that they're actually here for the common good. And classic Batman move, Mr. Gordon turns away to put his gun back in the drawer and looks back at Batman, and he's gone.
He's gone.
Oh, he's gone. But I gotta say, in the Justice League movie, that was one of the funnier scenes when, Gordon turns around and turns back over. Just the Flash is standing there, and he realizes, like, oh yeah, sorry, and then just takes off.
Guy keeps doing that to me.
Yeah. But yeah, he said that changed his life, and and on his desk he has a picture of Barbara Gordon, and here we go, right off into another reminiscing of a character. Here we have Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, and she's doing the same thing, working hard, studying, hitting the books, boxing, doing gymnastics, because gymnastics are going to beat bad guys.
Well, she has a crush on the Batman.
Yeah, and she has her brown belt in martial arts, and she's graduating with a PhD in library science. I was unaware that library science was something you could study, but back then when people went to the library, sure. Yeah, and she was at the night of the policeman's masquerade ball. When all this came to fruition, and she came back. Oh gosh, where's that line? That one was really funny. I want to point that out. I must be on the wrong panel. I don't know where that line is. But anyway, we cut back to Robin, and Robin saying the same thing. Batman's kind of unhinged here. Might be in for a long night here. And Lucius Fox comes into the picture over at Wayne Enterprises, and he's kind of chatting with Mr. Wayne here. I feel like I missed something here somewhere.
Then we do Lucius's origin.
Yeah, we do Lucius's origin. Yeah. I totally forgot about this character until I read this book. I was like, oh yeah, Morgan Freeman was in this movie.
Right.
Boy, I can tell that they fixed some coloring in the copies that we have, because he looks like Sinestro in what you're showing us, Tony.
He does.
Seriously,
he does.
very red in the face.
Yeah,
very red in the face, and he's got the 50s greaser hair.
Yeah.
Side right here, the gray streak.
So to help you out a little bit, he's trying to talk to Bruce about what's wrong, and Bruce is like, I don't need any help. And he's like, I didn't ask for your help. He's like, you never asked for help. If you needed water and were dehydrating, you wouldn't ask for it. He's like, we've always gotten along because I was able to anticipate what you need. And that gives us the reminiscence moments of them meeting.
Yeah.
And now Bruce is headed back. You can pick it up, Tony, but Bruce is headed back to Wayne Manor.
Yeah, he's heading back home, and he's having these memories of him and his dad, and I always thought that was kind of cool. Batman has his little, I don't even know what you call that piece that doctors wore, whatever this piece is.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, there's a name for it. I just don't recall what it is. Some cool ads, but yeah, I can't imagine going through something like this. Someone murdering a loved one, and I'm vying for revenge, and I'm having this, I would say he's having a bad night. The Batcave, he's right here. The Batcave walls are closing in on me. And he's having, visions of his father, and which I thought was pretty cool.
He's hallucinating.
Yeah, he's hallucinating, but gosh. Yeah, okay. So it's it was Robin dressed up as the original Thomas Wayne costume, trying to help him snap out of it and come back to reality, which I thought was pretty cool. And then we have right at the end here, we have this really nice big classic Batman, brooding over the city as the Dark Avenger or the Eternal Champion. But they never. I guess they really didn't find out who the killer was.
Oh no, they did.
Or not the killer, but the Batman's mystery shredder. And wasn't it Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, it was Bruce Wayne who did it.
Yeah. Bruce Wayne was the.
So he kind of had a psychotic break and was schizophrenic-ish after that explosion that both Sarah referenced in her review and I did in mine. And he's the one who took the costume and shredded it and mailed it to himself. He's the one who set the bomb in the Batcave, not realizing he was doing it.
Close head injuries are tough.
Yeah.
Particularly when you're a crime fighter who has PTSD, you know, like Batman has always had,
I like how it was an explosion that rattled his brain, but how many times was he shot point blank, hit in the head with various objects? One of them was a shovel at one point, but it was the explosion that did it. But very interesting.
Yeah, so let's discuss what we all thought about these 3 issues together, our entire retro review, and grade it out on a 10 scale. I know Sarah definitely has things to say, so we'll start ladies first.
Okay, sure. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think the art, Jim Aparo, who did the story art, is one of my favorite artists for DC at this era, and I love his Batman. I always have. And so I think the art in this thing is really good, and I think it really benefits from being in the Treasury size, to see those huge one-page panels is great. And I like origin stories, so I'm in for that. And I like stories that deal with Batman's inner life, and how trauma is really at the heart of everything that this guy does, good or bad, and I'm only going to, I ding it a little bit, a couple of points for kind of the occasional shoehorned plot point, oh, by the way, Robin's here with the bat suit. You're like, why? The flashback structure, for me, reading this in one sitting, the flashback structure became a little overbearing. Now, it may be different if you're reading it 1 month at a time. You know what I mean? But that's a minor quibble. I think it's good, and sometimes leaves me wanting more. Like I could use some more Alfred, Pennyworth, and his background. But that's a different thing. So I really enjoyed it, and this thing was new to me, no idea, because it came out in 1980, and as you know, I wasn't reading comics in the 80s at all. So thumbs up.
Yeah. So what was your grade again out of 10?
8 out of 10. Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're going to turn to Signature King, but first I want to say hello, because I should have done this before I went to Shabab. I want to say hi to Dave Gregory and hope that you're doing well. Dave is a Midwesterner, like the majority of the panel is.
All the panel.
Yeah.
We're all sitting whining about the cold. Yes.
Yes. Hope you're doing well, and I appreciate you coming back. And that's awesome that you're here. Okay, Mr. Signature King, your thoughts on the 3 issues and a grade?
It was good. Overall, I'm going to give it 8.5 as well. I really do enjoy some of these older stories. I love the ads. I said it 100 times. They're so cool. I wish they would do that with newer issues. Just have like the really ads for stuff you don't even want. Let alone you didn't know they made it, but now all of a sudden you need it because it's in an ad. Yeah, some of these artists that aren't around anymore. I think especially Jim Aparo. He died not long ago, right? Within the last 10 or so years, I think. I don't recall.
Yeah, I think it's been gone a while, but
I could be thinking of someone else. But yeah, it's an interesting story, especially if it's its first scheduled miniseries or limited run.
2005.
Oh, he died in 2005. Okay. Well, I was only off by 20 years, so.
Okay. What's 20 years between friends?
Yeah, right.
Whatever.
But they just don't make books like this anymore, unfortunately. It's a shame. Whenever we do like these old, like I think this came out in 1980, 1981, something like that. I don't even have to have the book here. But I can open the book and I can smell it. I can smell that old paper. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's great. But overall wonderful story. The artwork was great. I really enjoyed some of the I don't know what you call them, the trippy throwback scenes where it's all kind of different colored. The montage panels, you call them, whatever you want to call them. Those are my favorite. But,
yeah. So for me, I had read the first installment of this, but never had read the other two parts until now. So I think this story is interesting in many ways. I think it's very bold to depict Batman with mental illness at that time. And maybe, I haven't researched this. Is this one of the first times? They're saying you were schizophrenic-ish, they're just saying that's their words.
Yeah, and there is one famous story that Neil Adams did the art for, where he's kind of going nuts in a haunted house. But
I think I have that one too. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's at the hands of a villain.
Yeah.
It's not an internal drama.
Yeah.
So yeah, if he's gone schizophrenic, it's usually because a villain is trying to do him in that way.
And
That's
this
a good
is
point.
Yeah, this is a much angrier Batman than we really had seen at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's a bold choice. I know Sarah mentioned too, she knocked it a little bit for some of the plot points. I think that they kind of threw away the throwaway reveal of who did it was kind of thrown away.
Yeah.
It's kind of like all of a sudden we got to wrap this book up. Okay, say who did it, spend a panel and a half on it, and you're done.
Right.
I also wonder too, I'm like, okay, so Bruce went down because he threw this away because the Bruce Wayne part of him was resenting Batman overtaking his life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, okay, so Bruce Wayne went down, chopped up that bat costume, took it to the post office and mailed it. It got mailed, it arrived. And how do you send a letter to Batman with Bruce Wayne's address, without giving that away? And in the meantime, I'd be like, Alfred, dude, why ain't you been dusting and noticed there was a note stuck where that costume should have been?
You're putting too much thought into it.
I am. I just got to enjoy it for what it is.
Just got to let it wash over you.
Yes, but in all honesty, I did enjoy it for what it was, and I'm going 8.5 like Signature King did, and my grade on it too. I like having it collected all together in one versus maybe three separate facsimiles. I do understand what you're saying, Shabab, about you're getting so many backstories that when you're reading the story all at once, it's kind of like, okay, here it comes again.
Yeah.
But really, there is no big bad villain in this story,
right?
Which is interesting. The villain is Bruce.
Right.
It's interesting. I liked it for all of the things that seemed cutting edge to me. I can understand. I've read people who've said this should always be in print for some reason or included somehow for people to read. And now I get that, having fully read it. And I'm glad I have read it, and I'm glad I own it. I love the treasury size. I always say this. It feels like an event when you have the pages in that big. Right. And now that DC is reprinting things treasury size that never were originally treasury size, I've got a list for them of things I'd like to see.
Seriously, yeah. I hope it continues to be successful, and they put it. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I do too. And for those that wondered, I ended up getting the foil version. You got the regular. I got the foil. I'll make myself big for a second.
Oh, look at that.
So foil is $5 more, but I did that, and I like the back cover as well. all foiled out.
Oh, they made that foil too. That's very cool.
Yep.
Neat.
So
I don't recall seeing these at my LCS. So
they just came out. Did you go this week? Because they just came out this past Wednesday.
yeah, I went Thursday. Yeah, I didn't see it.
What about you, Sarah? Did you have any problem finding it?
No, and I have a standing order with my comic book shop to any facsimile of any type, just put it in my bin and I'll buy it.
Okay.
Because and for Tony, that's one of the reasons the facsimiles are fun is because they do show all the original ads.
Yeah,
in the way they showed up. You don't get the good smell, but you get the ads. And the letters to the editor and all that.
Yeah,
they should make that as an air freshener. 80s comic book paper.
1970s basement.
Yeah.
So there was in the back of this, there was an Ask the Answer Man segment, which they used to have back then. So one of the questions said, and I'm sure, Shabab, you've probably read this already, so maybe... Well, you let me know if you know the answer to this. Otherwise, we'll throw it over to Tony.
It's got to be to Tony because I haven't read this page.
One of the questions was, what is faster, the bat plane or the invisible jet? And what was their answer, Tony?
I don't know.
They said, this is Bob R., the answer man, answering it. He said, there's never been anything that's fully stated what it was, but I would put my bet on the invisible jet being faster.
I would also agree that the invisible jet would probably be faster.
Yeah.
I would say maybe the Batmobile is probably more nimble, but it can't go the distance.
Yeah. So that's a fun little side note. Anything else anyone wants to say about this before we transition into the book show portion?
Well, the other fun part of this is you get extra pages on things like, oh God, what is it? What's in the Bat Cave?
Oh yeah. Thank you for mentioning that.
Secrets of the Bat Cave.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah. Like
I saw that. It was in my issue too, but I guess I didn't understand
why does he have a dinosaur statue there? The big penny and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I do have a question. This did not set out any new canon things that like started here and then carried on.
I believe that they did amend the origins in some ways. Now, I didn't research down in which ways it was, but I believe that one of the reasons that they threw the origins in, if they needed to tweak anything on anybody, this was their opportunity to do a soft reboot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it worked,
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite just part of the what's in the Bat Cave, the study in the Bat Cave where he can relax.
Yes.
In my costume without the cowl, I'll just sit and watch TV and drink a beer. I don't know. It just seems odd.
Yes. A little bit.
A little weird.
Yes.
But that's why we love them.
Yes.
They had that Secrets of the Batcave. It was the Batman Damned. It was definitely a big secret in that Batcave. Remember the big controversy with that book?
Batman Damned. Yeah. We saw the bat hole, if you know what I mean.
It was definitely a secret in that Batcave.
Yeah. We saw the bat pole.
Really?
Oh, yes.
It was funny because at the time there was someone visiting my house was staying for like a week, and they were a big Batman fan, and it had just came out, and they didn't know about it. So I happened to have it, and I was like, "Here, see, look at this." And they're just like, "Why would they print that? Like, who's demanding that they see that?" Nobody. But
and so Shabab, in future versions of that, they kind of shadowed that part out.
Oh,
so it's only in the original first print.
Yeah.
You get to see the bat dong.
And it's funny because if you get that slab, there's no mention of why it's so controversial. Just issue one.
It's okay.
And that was a hard. Oops.
That
was a
difficult
book to get.
So have you been wanting it for a long time?
Well, I obtained my copies, not copy, but copies when it first came out.
Okay.
I couldn't make it to my LCS right away, and I just happened to pre-order it just because it was the first Black Label book. And I was like, yeah, give me a copy. No big deal. At that time, they didn't even know it was out yet. And then when it launched, everyone was freaking out. And I still had one in my box. My LCS could have totally ripped me off, but they didn't. Thank God. They could have made a bunch of money. I took that book to Comic-Con and got it signed. And as I'm coming out of Brian, was it Azzarello? Yeah, Brian Azzarello's line. And some guy he's like, I'll give you $300 cash for that book right now. And he's like, here it is, $300. I'm like, nah. No. Do you know what this book is going to be worth? Nothing in 5 years.
Exactly. Your lousy $300 means nothing.
Nothing to me.
Yes.
Away with you.
Okay. Anything else on the book before we transition?
It's a good call, Ryan. Thank you for this. I wouldn't have.
I never even heard of it. Never even seen this book zipping around in a while. So.
Very cool.
So I'll actually, as we segue into the book show, I'll go first because my book show ties into this. I mentioned before that this has been reprinted in many times in many different sizes. And my book show is actually the one that I mentioned that was a little bit bigger than the digest size, but not a full-size comic book. And there was an audio version, an MPI audio cassette that went with this too. I don't have the cassette, but I was A-okayed this first issue from Comics for Thomas a few years ago. And that's how I started to read this. I had always known about this series from the trade ads, and they did a lot of trade ads for this. And I always wanted to read it. And this was my first taste, but now I've got, as I just showed a moment ago, the full complete collection in my collection.
Yay.
So that's going to be my book show. As for my channel, I have a back issue of the week YouTube short. It's the first appearance of Captain Marvel. No, Signature King, not that Captain Marvel, the Marvel one. And that's already on my channel. And I have a video that's already on my channel where I update you on how I'm doing with my Justice League of America Volume 1 collection. And should I just, I feel like I can go ahead and spoil it. It's been out for several days.
You are on fire with that thing.
I am down to 9 books, and the collection's done.
One of them's a really lovely, that Neil Adams cover with the dead Flash. That's one of the original books in my little Shebab collection.
Is it?
Yeah. So you're so close.
I'm getting there, and I don't have any big keys left either, too.
Yeah. So it's doable.
It's very doable. So I'm excited for that. What's coming up on my channel tomorrow, I will celebrate Black History Month with a DC character in my back issue of the week YouTube short. And it's a character that I know for a fact all 3 of us have in our collection. So you'll have to tune in tomorrow.
Okay.
And then on Tuesday, my comic book editions video is going to be it's kind of 2 different things going on in the video. Some of my superhero comic book pickups of Christmas 2024 that were gifted to me, I'm sharing those. And then my first comic show pickups of 2025, I'm sharing in the video as well. And I will say, uncredited Neil Adams will be talked about in that video.
Well, then, for God's sakes.
If only it was Tuesday afternoon, huh?
Right. Oh, yes. Come on. Can't you hit the button sooner? Just hit publish.
Mr. Signature King. Mr. Signature King, what is going on book show with you?
Book show. I'm going to keep it Batman related, but I have from 2010, Batman Who Laughs #1. Big Neil Adams homage here. Signed by Matthew Mayhew. And what's special about this one is a little bit of controversy with it. That's why I kind of like it. And big text up here. It's going to be really hard to tell, but it says the entire print run was verified by CBCS and was reduced to 250 graded copies at 9.8. So I reached out to CBCS because I was like, what does all that gobbledygook mean? Don't give me the long version. Just tell me what it says. They got all these copies that could have been 9.8s, and they burned the rest. They only had 250 copies that were signed by Matthew Mayhew. The rest got destroyed.
Wow.
I don't know why. It's not like it's a super rare issue. And the company who made this cover is the company that Magic Lasso really likes. And it's the Comic Mint.
Oh yeah, I do like the Comic Mint for real.
Yes.
Yeah,
Comic
I do.
Mint.
He's not saying that sarcastically.
No, I was saying that legitimately.
That's
I
real.
also
really
enjoy
like
the Comic
that.
Mint.
Yeah,
they're good folks. So.
I think that they do. I feel like Comic Mint wants great things for their customers. Not that other places don't, but I feel like they take the extra step. You know, like with their
every
Christmas
year they do the free. They do something free.
Yeah, with their Christmas gift for their customers and stuff. I mean,
buy this
great.
book. You're gonna get pick something from this pile for free.
And
so
plus, one more thing. When you order from Comic Mint, a lot of times you get a slip of who packed your order. And mine will say, packaged by Maria. And then I sing My Maria. Oh, Maria, I love you, girl. My Maria.
And speaking of tonight's story, I just happened to look it up because I was very curious. Back in the 80s, and I'm not saying that this particular story, but DC Comics in the 70s and into the 80s, they printed comic books in 29 different languages.
Wow.
Holy cow.
The most least common language I could find was, I'm going to say this incorrectly, so forgive me, Mangalese. Guess where they speak that language? It is the official language of Madagascar.
Wow.
So DC Comics was printing stuff and sending it all the way to Madagascar.
See, now you probably sent some collector down a terrible rabbit hole of like, I need to collect my favorite book in every single language.
Yeah.
I am so close to being that guy, you don't even want to know. It's not funny. It is so close because I happen to have right here a copy of Shazam number 28. It's the Spanish as in from Spain, not from Central or Latin America.
Right.
This is the Spanish from the Iberian Peninsula copy. I also have this in Spanish from Mexico copy as well. And Magic Lasso hooked me up with the seller, and we made a deal, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, I'm so close to being that guy.
Yeah.
But I'm trying so hard not to do it.
But you're a young guy, Tony, and I fear for you because collecting is going to be a lifelong thing for you. So you will fall down there. I
tell you what, I don't feel like a spring chicken. I'm going to be 38 this year. So.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, please. Yeah.
I feel it. But yeah, what's coming up?
Quick hello to the Comic Journey.
Yes, Comic Journey.
Yes, your channel.
Coming up on the channel, nothing but shorts. For some reason on my channel, my shorts will hit like a ceiling of like 500 and then stop. And then like a month later, somehow catch another tidal wave somewhere. I had a new comic book release short from December. It hit that 500 ceiling and is now currently at 20,000 views. I don't know how.
What?
It's not even current anymore.
It's not even current anymore, but hey, I don't know why
Wow, that's cool though. Good for you.
I mean, I'll take it, but like it's not like I did anything cool or I don't know why that of all things, because it's only pertains to that week. But that's what's coming up. A lot of shorts. I'm still waiting for CBCS to ship me my giant shipment back. 33 books have been sent in.
That will be fun to see. That will be
for sure.
A lot of content in that regards, and a super secret video that I'm going to continue to promote. That's coming up, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully that should be coming this summer.
Cool. Two things I want to say is first, to Comic Journey. Yes, absolutely. And I'm lucky to have a hookup with a lot of the Brazilian ones. So I've gotten a few of those into my collection and I'm happy about that. And one other thing I wanted to say, Tony, that book you showed, the Joker Who Laughed
Batman?
book. Yeah. Batman Who Laughed, rather. Would you say that that's an essential book for any Harley collector to have?
I would not.
Oh, okay.
I would not. But you know, if you want a Harley book, you know, we can go from Harley's Little Black Book. but she's been captured by Batman. So
okay, cool.
Maybe that one more so.
Okay.
Good try though. You can't trick me.
I tried. Book show and channel information time. Silver Hair Bronze.
Okay, so channel nothing shorts. Although you know what I'm going to do. There have been a couple shorts since I started doing this a couple years ago that just like get 10 or 20. Yeah. I'm going to go back and I'm just going to redo them.
Do it. What do you have to lose?
Nothing. Exactly. Book show. I'm a big fan of the facsimiles, and these are some facsimiles that I got recently.
Oh wow, that's a good one.
Yeah, and I get these because these are stories that I didn't read, so I really enjoyed this one. This Justice League. I mostly love this because the cover is so sweet. This is just so comic book.
Yeah.
And speaking of how do we love treasuries, the Superman versus Flash. There were 4 comic books back in the day that featured famous races between Superman and Flash. This only includes 2 of them. I don't know why, but it's good because the first story is. I was thinking it was Carmine Infantino's story art, but he just did the cover art on it.
Okay.
But so it's, from an artistic standpoint, it's not that great, but they are famous stories. So, but the other thing I wanted to tell you about this, the missus was with me when I picked this up at the Comic Emporium, and she turned it over and she's like, "What is this?" And I said, "Oh, you could cut it out and make a diorama." And she said, "Why don't you do that? I want to see you do that." so she's like, it'll be fun. You can work on your scissor skills.
Oh no. Are you going to do that?
I might. I haven't. I probably will.
Well, you should get another copy. That way you still have one intact.
Exactly. Yeah. And
okay.
Then I can do a video.
Palpitations are slowing down a little bit now. So.
Well, why not? You guys know how I treat my books.
I do.
So maybe, look for a possible video of me making the diorama.
That would be fun to watch.
That would actually be fun. Well,
yeah.
I'm many things. Crafty is not one of them.
Okay.
So scissors and tape, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Is it arts and crafts or arts and crap? Find out in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Arts and crap.
Yeah. So Comic Journey saying,
for me, it would just be crap. It wouldn't be any art.
They did for a while. They had a line of reprints called Dollar Comics, and they were just $1 for the reprinted version. But then they realized they were selling like mad, and they're like, can we get the same amount of sales at $4.99?
Yeah.
So
they're not stupid.
They're not. Yeah. Well, that brings us to an end of Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. Thanks to all the great people who were in the chat tonight. Once again, an on-fire chat that we appreciate. And thank you if you watched on the rewind and made it all the way to the end. And
Comic Journey, you have found your person.
You have. You have. I still sometimes think about Wonder Woman 204, which is a key, and it's in her collection. So
I ripped he and I were doing a live dive, and I ripped the cover off of it during the live dive. And
she did.
Yeah.
She did. I was there.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry. But you're better now. You're fine. You're fine.
Some therapy has helped.
Right. Yes.
So
he will be billing you.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. There are links to all these fantastic people and even some other good people that weren't on the program tonight. Links to their YouTube channels in the description for this video. So if you're not subbed, please sub them up. We want to thank again earlier to Christina Payne was dropping some links, and we appreciate her so much for her moderating. And sub everyone up in the chat too. Keep building this awesome community. This has been the greatest DC Comics show on YouTube, Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. See you next week.